Hello Sagittarius, and welcome to your August reading. I'm Nicholas Ashbaugh, and I'm so glad you showed up today. Welcome. Before we get into the reading, a quick reminder that you can always use this for sun, rising, and moon. And basically this is set up so that you can navigate the next 6 weeks or so. Before we get into channel messages, I just wanted to extend some thanks and gratitude for everybody's patience. As you know, I had to unexpectedly move from my old apartment. I had to deal with some health issues. I'm feeling much better, but that was kind of why everything was delayed. Plus, I was looking for an apartment, which I found, and I'll be moving this weekend. So thank you for being patient. That's a lot for anybody to process and still get this done. So I'm pushing through, and I hope to get everything done by Monday of next week. So here we go. Let's get into it. All right, mediumship and channel messages for your sign. As I was tuning into Sagittarius this morning, here's what I picked up on. There's going to be an increased focus on technology this month. For some of you, I feel like you might actually be in the emerging field of artificial intelligence. I didn't put it in this slide, but I could see someone, it was almost like a human being that was being scanned digitally. And so to me, that represents artificial intelligence. And I think the universe is just confirming that not only is this a place where there's a lot of jobs and interest, but we are looking for people to also lead in that industry with integrity, because you got to be careful when you're dealing with that, but it's also a really exciting space right now. For everybody else, I was shown like a symbol of a computer and a scale, which is finding balance in technology. And so there are places in our day-to-day lives where computers help so much. Keeping track of our calendar, helping us with our accounting, calculating the tip. And then there's automated tasks in, like if you run a business where payroll and things like that, you don't need to put all the sort of human power behind that. But there are other areas where it's not a good sort of replacement, like customer service. Who wants to push a bunch of buttons to get to talk to a human being on the phone, right? And there's sometimes where there's an automated form letter that comes to you, and it irritates. It's irritating sometimes when you can't make that connection. So if you're running a business, finding the balance between automation and having the human touch is important in your own life. Finding places where technology adds but doesn't sort of like create additional stress or tension, that's the other message here. And finding that balance, making the decision, saying no to some things, that's going to be part of your success this month, okay? There we go. Let's move on to the next message. I saw some new partnership coming through for you. And kind of moving with the energy of what I just saw, it was almost like this very, very old person, and then it was like someone hit the reboot, and then I saw them in a new body. So karmic energy coming through. As we're talking, I feel it in the solar plexus. And I also saw maternal energy here. So one of the karmic cycles that I think will present in new relationships is control. And when you play the role of parent in a previous lifetime, sometimes there's this feeling like the other person has to follow what you say or do. And in this lifetime, because the previous slide I was inspired to talk about the scales and equality, I think it's more about seeing just how equal you are and not feeling like you have to fix or control them, and vice versa. If they're trying to like pull all the strings, it's not going to work out. The Lovers and the Devil card are very similar. The Devil card is about control. The Lovers is unconditional love. We want to lean into that right now. Some of you might also be kind of like exploring, because I saw the maternal energy stepping into being a parent, whether mother, father, doesn't matter. But what we're looking at is maybe not repeating the things that your family or your previous ancestors went through. We're breaking karmic and ancestral sort of like challenges and cycles. And there could be a Libra coming in. I keep seeing scales everywhere. So it's either about finding balance. There could be a Libra. You might be looking at legal things with respect to your family and like will and trust sort of things. All of that coming to the fold here. But possibility for love. And I put the Three of Cups here just as a reminder to get out, to mix, to mingle, and to allow for people to find you, to be a little bit more accessible. All right, let's go ahead and give the cards a shuffle and see what additional messages are coming through for the month of August. Okay, everybody, please take a moment and close your eyes, clear your mind of any pre-existing thoughts, and let's just allow what needs to come through. Calling in now the angels, the spirit guides, and ascended masters, bringing in information and guidance for your highest good. All right, let's begin. All right, let's get started here. We're going to begin with your catalyst message. We have a beautiful owl image that came through. It was reversed, but I just want to show it in the upright position first. When it's hanging upside down, it almost reminds me of a chrysalis for a butterfly. And for some of you, you may be overthinking like what's going on right now, not giving yourself enough credit for the wisdom, for the intuition, and maybe even for some of the research that you've done, because the owl to me represents all of that. When you second guess yourself, this is like the high priestess, that's when you start to hold yourself back. And again, the catalyst is what creates action. So if you are holding back on following through on your instincts, that's going to create delays. The owl is also focusing in on looking places where others can't see. And here's the interesting thing. You may be able to understand or even capitalize on something way before other people can, because you're simply aware of like 2 or 3 steps down the line where it's going to all end up. So you're leading the charge, and sometimes that can be a little bit lonely. Don't doubt yourself. Even if someone around you that you normally trust and listen to is like, I don't get it. In this moment in time, it's more important for you to follow your vision, even if others don't understand. Let's now take a look at the cards and get a quick feel for what's going on here. So change for the better is the first thing. So we have this Tower card, but everything around it is beautiful. Ace of Cups, 2 of Cups, 3 of Wands. And then we also have another change card here, and it could be a change for the better when it comes to finance. I don't want to get too deep into it, but I love what I'm seeing. I do also see the Lovers here. Overall, this is a good spread. There's nothing problematic. So let's get into your centermost card, 2 of Cups. I mentioned earlier that partnership could be a part of this, and I might bring this card up while we're talking. But first, let's look at this illustration. So we have the sort of like divine coupling here with 2 mer people, mermaid and a merman. But what I'm really focusing on here are the sort of lotus blossoms, and that's showing that you've reached through the depths of your own emotions, of your own ancestral energy, of your karmic energy, and because of the work that you did, now you're getting a chance to reboot. So let's pull up the partnership card really quickly. I mentioned there was like a technological aspect to it where I saw an old soul, and it was like someone hit the reboot button and then they were in a new body. But even with a reboot, sometimes, unless you update like the software or the thinking, some of the same cycles could come through. So in this cycle, you don't want to see yourself as you were in the past. That's what's happening here with the reversal. You're now looking at each other as equals, as partners. Look at that handshake here. We are in this together, and I see you and respect you, and we're on the level. That's the big karmic message, and it's repeating in this particular card. And again, this shows that you had to push through a lot to get where you're at, because anytime you look at a lily that has to go through all the murky levels to blossom, it's just, to me, a sign of perseverance and that you earned this, that you deserve this moment in time. Let's move on to the card that is crossing the 2 of Cups. So I mentioned there could be an unexpected quality or timing to this because the Tower is disruptive. But if you get past the disruption, it looks good. Let's read beyond relationships now, because this isn't the focus for everybody. So the Tower in and of itself represents a necessary change, usually an overdue change. So sometimes we are complacent to stay in a job, in a living environment like I was. You could sometimes be in a relationship for longer than you need to. And this card comes through as a wake-up call. If there has been any stagnation, by the way, in a core relationship, it will present itself this month and resolve itself, because we have the Death card in the crowning position. Whatever trouble, whatever issue you have, you can fix it and end it, not just in this moment, but karmically, cyclically, now and in the future. And that's really powerful. That's really auspicious, but you have to take ownership of the change and lean into it. And if we look in the top corner here, we have this deity that's sitting there zen and just saying, I'm okay. This is also being at peace with things that you can't control. If there's someone in your life that has self-destructive qualities, because we have the partnership here, this could be a loved one that just doesn't take care of themselves. This is you saying, I can only keep the door open and offer help, but if you won't take it, I can't fix you, right? This could be understanding that there are things out of your control, like if there's something going on in your community, in possibly even like in the company that you're working at, where there's a leader that makes a bad decision. You can't control the decision making, but you can control your reaction to that and your reaction to the events. And so that's how you can manage stress. You can decide what you want to do about it moving forward, but you can't go back and change what happened. So using history, using even what's happening now to help inform what the next step will be, but not going into that cycle of could've, would've, should've. And not trying to control someone who doesn't want to be controlled, or advise someone who doesn't want to accept input. So sometimes there are programs that, or thinking back to old technology like a compact disc, you can't, once it's burned and once it's like something that you put in the car, you can't write onto that. It's a read-only sort of thing. There's some people that are in that read-only mode where they don't accept input and they don't change the program. This is a month for you to reboot your program and hopefully call in partnerships and opportunities on that same new, higher operating system level that you're on, okay? You might be traveling, you might be moving. This can be major changes, in this case, possibly for the better. So a new relationship, a new job, a new home, possibly several of these at once, and it could even be birthing and creating as well. Of course, it can be releasing. So exciting stuff and big. This is a big month for you. You have the most energy shifting of any sign that I've read so far. I can say that without any hesitation because of the cards and their placements. Deep past. You've been doing the work, Sagittarius. You've been working hard. You might be a little bit focused on limiting in your focus, I should say, that it has to happen a certain time, a certain way, from a certain direction, because I'm looking at how literally focused this page is using the camera. I love that they're envisioning possibilities. I love that they're projecting out their dream into the world. However, you might want to go from a telephoto to like a wide angle lens so that you can see more. That's what I'm getting here. See more possibilities. Ask for more than you're used to asking for, especially if you're a very giving person and it's difficult to say, I need a little more support, or I need to talk about compensation, or you're asking for too much, I'm going to need to delegate. All of this is important because it's you fighting for your worth, and you're worth a lot. The page is great. If you can see it and if you can believe it and if you can paint that picture for someone else, they're on board, okay? Recent past. You've done the work. I was just talking to someone today about the importance of the Ace of Cups in a relationship read. We're reading broadly here for everybody under your sign, but this is still auspicious. It tells me that many of you have been maybe working with a therapist, maybe just meditating and looking at your life and getting more comfortable in your own skin. That's how we get to this Ace of Cups overflowing, or this champagne glass in this particular deck. But what I also love about this is it's not beholden to the wave of emotion or energy behind it. It's kind of reining it in and saying, bring it on, just like we saw here in this. So if you can be comfortable with the flow of opportunity, of love, of everything that's happening right now, then you're going to be able to embrace it and ride that wave of prosperity, okay? There could be new love. There could be a dream being fulfilled because the Ace of Cups is good news, something that makes your heart skip a beat. And we have a celebration here, again, that champagne flute. So some of you may be toasting to something new, something overdue, and something that you can really get behind. I love your crowning cards. We have 10 of Pentacles in reverse, and it looks like a party going on here. And then we have the Death card, and he's dancing with joy. These are jubilant cards here. So the 10 of Pentacles can represent a contract in the form of like a new job. It can be a contract in love, like marriage is a contract. We don't always see it as that, but it is. It can also be a chance for you to reevaluate your financial house, your financial situation, and create something new. It's also you pushing back on expectations. So the reversed 10 of Pentacles represents our friends, family, and co-workers in our life that might be trying to push us into a path, make us fit into a box that doesn't feel right. And the Death card is coming through upright to say thanks, but no thanks. I got my own key. I got my own path. I'm going to go down that as well. For some of you, it's a reminder that an unexpected end, let's say a layoff or a staff reduction, is not the end of the world. It definitely is an end, and it's difficult. But this is a chance for you to possibly find something that is more on the level of your experience and maybe your passion, since we have that Ace of Cups in the upright position in the recent past. So Death for me, especially when coupled with the Tower, it's saying, it's been long enough. You've spent long enough on this path. It's time, at the very least, to try out something new, to open a new door. And if you are facing some sort of change, the immediate sort of impulse is to just go into something that's easy and predictable because you're like, enough is changing. Sometimes, if you're going to change, why not change a little bit more? And that's what I'm seeing here. Really try on something new because we aren't afforded that many opportunities in our life to just say, what the heck, let's give it a shot. This month, you have a chance to shed your skin in a couple of areas and really come out shining, I think, in the long run. Let's see what's going on here in the near future. I really like the Three of Wands here. This is showing that things can resolve quickly, if not almost immediately here. Three of Wands, the ship is coming in. The key to the success in this card is in which direction you're looking. So usually the person's up on a hill, but I like that she's right at the shore. I like an active Three of Wands. But if she were looking over here or looking in the other direction, she may miss the ship. I mentioned that this was a little bit too focused. We want to go to a wider view. What would that be in everyday life? This could be, instead of looking at, if you're trying to find a job, instead of just looking in your city or your country, you could look abroad. You could look in a different industry. You could talk to someone to help shift your perspective. So that's one thing that you can do. It's also changing your thought process about the when. It's not the if. We see with this card, it's never an if, it's just when. You could think about it happening sooner, but if it isn't happening now, then change your direction and maybe it's happening sooner over there. Trust in divine timing and look in all directions. That's what I would say, because there's and I want to say a word that doesn't exist, a nowness. It's a sort of present energy. It's presenting right now. It's right here. It's imminent is the word I was looking for. But lean into it happening and it being available sooner than you think. And that's the big takeaway with this. And I love this. I love this card, and I love this for you because it's showing that within the next 3 weeks or so, you could see a resolution or a silver lining to one of those changes that you had to go through. Looking at you, you're going to land on your feet. We have the Seven of Pentacles here, and for some of you that had to go through a little bit of a shakeup here, going from the Ten of Pentacles to the Seven of Pentacles is manageable. If we take a moment to review the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith card, we can see impatience is the big challenge with the Seven of Pentacles. We see growth, we see recovery. Sometimes it's not as fast as you might like. However, what we see in this upgraded version of the card, or updated rather, is that pieces are falling together. It's just about being open to a new arrangement. And again, not pushing for things to happen too quickly. Another thing with the Seven of Pentacles is knowing your limits and not overpromising, not overextending, or not overspending. So really kind of leaning into what you learned with Six of Pentacles, which is smart choices, saying no, and balancing out want versus need. All of this is going to lead you to have more success. It's going to keep you in the growth energy that we see in this traditional illustration. And it's also going to help you open your mind to receiving things in a new pattern, a new organization, knowing that there might be a smarter or more efficient path as well. I love what we have here in the environment. Everything that we've been talking about, from the change energy here, to the ends or beginnings here, to the balancing act, it's all bringing you abundance. So in the environment, we have one of the best cards with respect to time, energy, money, or cycles for that matter, the Wheel of Fortune. And we see that many of you are just starting to come up for air, to finally see what's out there. And this could be rebound energy. This, for some of you, again, it could be a breakup or a loss of something. This is the process of mourning, but stepping towards that new opportunity that is the sort of skeleton key here. And then once you do that, we see that things really start to move in the right direction. So the Wheel of Fortune the wheel spins, so it represents movement, change for the better, coming up for air, looking at all of the opportunities and embracing them with gratitude. And most importantly, talk about money this month, for sure. If there's something you need, if there's something that you don't understand, if there's something you want, speak it into existence. I've been talking a lot lately about how we are sort of incorrectly taught to not share our wishes or desires. I think there's some things that you wait until it's formulated and it's ready so that you can say it in the best way. But once you know what you want, don't be afraid to reach out and say it and put your best energy out there to manifest it. This is a time for action, especially for you. And I feel like if you're ready to rebound, we see one of the best possible cards to indicate that you'll be successful at doing that. You're not alone this month unless you want to be. The Lover's card in reverse is an invitation to connect. We've gotten 2 of these now, and they're 2 of the best cards for relationships. The Lovers represents unconditional love. 2 of Cups is, friendship and connection and camaraderie. Now, the only thing missing in this equation maybe would be 4 of Wands. You also got the 10 of Pentacles. Like I said, this could be marriage. All of these partnering cards were reversed. They're all super positive. So one thing that I'd like to kind of like put out there for all of you to consider is just really focusing on a mantra that you are worthy. And that's something that I've added to a larger thing. I'm ready, I'm worthy, and I'm willing to receive love, abundance, and opportunity in the highest forms. You got it all here in the spread: love, abundance, and opportunity. Yes, there's a little bit of change or loss or release, but everything else is on an uptick. But you have to get into that ready, worthy, willing. And if you can do that, I feel like opportunities are knocking. For the Lover's card, things are ready to get serious, or some of you are ready to get serious. And again, I think it's important to express that. Say, if it's a job, I've been working here a long time, I'm ready for the next step, let's make it happen. Speak in the affirmative, not can we make it happen. You either want to say, how can we, when will we, let's walk me through the process. And that puts you in a place of empowerment and clarity, and it lets people know that you're not kind of like playing around, you're there for business. In love, it may be about making something exclusive if you've been dating for a while. As we take a look at the outcome here, we have the 7 of Cups. This is really about getting clear on what it is that you want. Sometimes we can be overwhelmed. So one piece of advice that comes through right off the bat is not to kind of go down a rabbit hole of all of the possibilities. Really focus on the 1 or 2 things that are pulling you forward, and don't second guess yourself and don't overwhelm yourself unnecessarily. You can ask questions if you need help, but I have a little graphic here from the math meme that reminds me of what happens sometimes in the 7 of Cups, and it's just, well, what about this? What about that? What if... Slow down, focus, and really clearly state what you want, and that's really the only thing you need to focus on. Now, there could be a lot of downloads coming, so this is tea reading basically here, looking at tea leaves. So some of you could be getting messages through dreams, through those of you that read cards like me, it could be coming through that. It could also be different divination methods, but basically we could connect these 2 cards together, which is trust your instincts and listen to the messages that are coming forth. Now is the time to really make sure that you're following through on those, not just trusting them, but making some action, making some movement, because you could see some very fast results if you do so. Let's go ahead now and extend this forecast a little deeper into the areas of health, wealth, love, and destiny, beginning first with health, which is your mind, your body, and your spirit. And we have basically the stone coming through. This is a chance for you, and it's on its side here, to become unstuck. And there are so many cards in this spread that will help with you getting out of that sort of stagnation. The Tower is going to be there, like it or not, to help push you through a change. And it is definitely not an end, it's a beginning. I love that this Death card holds that skeleton key, showing us there is something better, bigger, brighter here on the horizon. Specifically when it comes, again, to resources or living environment. Let's talk about this a little bit more. If there's anything in your life that is creating that feeling of being stuck, whether it's a glass ceiling or it's someone trying to make you fit into a box that you don't like, this is reminding you that it's not carved in stone unless you allow it to be. So rewrite your path, imagine new things, and really explore all options in front of you. Specifically looking at the cards in front of us for some other markers when it comes to your health. If there's anything unstable or destabilizing or toxic in your life, now is the time to pay attention and remedy it. So it could be a toxic relationship because these 2 cards are together. It could be a living situation that doesn't allow you to have the stability that you need. It might just be time to move up, move on, move out, something of that nature. There could also be a wake-up call for some of you. Overwork. 10 of Pentacles is putting all of the energy into your resources, your money, or again, your 9-to-5 job, and there's more to life than that. This is about finding balance, going back to the scales imagery that I saw way at the beginning. This card also here is showing that if you make a change, the Wheel of Fortune is showing that you could get your head above water. So this wake-up call, if heeded, like if you listen to it, then you are going to be able to overcome it or make significant progress for the better. Part of it might be processing the change, because that's a big part of what we're seeing here. Relationships in general could be putting additional pressure on you. So this can be friends and family, this can be coworkers. Some of you may just need a little bit of time to yourself so that you can get clarity on what it is you want in your life. The only thing that's kind of cautionary here is Seven of Cups, which can be confusion, distraction, or difficulty in concentrating. I think some of this has to do with all of the change that's happening right now. And for some of you, it could be, again, like an end to something, an end of a job, which happens a lot when we retire. This could be an end of a phase for those of you that are graduating and getting into the job market, or a beginning of a phase, like a marriage. Major ends, major beginnings. It takes a while to wrap your head around that. So give yourself the time and space that you need. Lean on others if you need to. But overall, I like what I see. One last note, and then we'll move on to the next topic here. But we have the Owl in reverse, which is about getting second opinions. If you don't feel connected to a path, or if you need more clarity on something, that card is saying, listen to that. Find someone who will listen to you, and that's going to bring you into a better trajectory with your health. Let's move on now to wealth. This is your resources, your life purpose, and your career. We have a beautiful card here, the Akashic Stargate. It says, aligned with purpose, crossroads, no wrong path. God, that's gorgeous, especially with the Three of Wands. And there are multiple doors or windows that are opening right now. This is why I was saying earlier, why rinse and repeat? It's time to change it up. You're going to succeed this cycle if you're ready to. Akashic records basically are the records of all of our lifetimes, all of our experiences. We can access our Akashic records through meditation, through our guides, and you may also sort of receive it through dreams. One thing that I have often is a past life flashback in my dreams. So the situation that I just went through in my house, it was actually karmic in nature. And I've had a couple of them, so I meditated on it and I saw that there was a karmic cycle. I really do feel like it's broken this time. But focus in on this. So if you notice that you keep dating the wrong kind of person, or you keep getting into jobs that are challenging, whatever your karmic cycle is, I feel like this particular month and for the remainder of this year, you can actually start to crank the Wheel of Fortune in an opposite direction, in a better direction, better trajectory. And when we're looking at wealth, this is going to help you open up new channels of abundance in your life. So it's especially important. Even if you can't access your records through dreams or meditation just yet, we can all access it, but you can start to look at things that have been going in a certain direction in your life and just trace them back to the source and say, oh, that all started here. This one started here. Is there similarities? Do I want to do the same thing again? So just slowing down long enough to really make sure that the next step is aligned with all the things that we saw here, aligned with purpose. If we take nothing else from this card here, take that piece. Everything else then is going to fall into place. Let's break this down into three major categories. Those that are employed, seeking employment, and then we'll look at students and retirees. For those that are employed, some of you are at a crossroads because that literally was what this was all about. So if you're ready to move on, you can stick around for the next component, whether this is of your own volition or you see changes happening and you're not aligned with the changes. I remember being in companies back in the day where a new person stepped in and you're like, I love what I'm doing here. I like these people. I can't get behind that leadership though. Or I see that this is going to end poorly. Follow your intuition because that's what the whole purpose of the owl was. You're seeing it before everyone else does. So it's okay. It's okay if you want to do that, all right? The other thing here, let's say you're happy. This is the month to really put into motion some major changes and movement for you. The Tower with all these connective cards here, if you know somebody like in a position of power or someone that's connected, together the two of you can actually create some really important and significant changes in the environment, in the organization, in your own life. And we do see resource changes for the better. Even though there may be this little tiny blip where you go from the 10 to the 7, we have the biggest resource card here in the form of the Wheel of Fortune in the environment. So I really think you're going to be able to bounce back, again, get your head above water, and it's all in the power of partnerships. We have 3 cards here. The 10 of Pentacles actually is a partnership card. It's just hard to see here. It represents, like I said, sometimes marriage. 2 of Cups, best friends, new connections. And here with the Lovers card, higher love. So that's in the presenting energy, the crowning card, and hopes, fears, and opportunities. So all of the power happens with who you know. It's not just what you know, it's who you know, it's who you're connected to. And for some of you, it's really the impact that you make on others' lives. And then that's going to kind of cycle back up to the movers and the shakers. And that could really bring you into alignment for a new opportunity. As I said earlier, speak it into existence. Don't hold on to something and hope that people will pick up on it. Be the one that articulates, I want this, or I'm ready for this, because you can make it happen. Major changes, but for the better. And things are happening fast this month with the 3 of Wands here. So if you're able to ride that wave of change and do so in a Zen state, that's also going to set you apart, and that is a sign of clear leadership. I think the only thing that could be a little bit daunting is that there's so much to process. So really make sure that you're only focusing on the things that matter most, that you can impact the most, and that are receptive to your energy as well. Let's move on to those of you that are seeking employment right now. If you're looking for a new job, I would like to encourage you to, as I said earlier, completely reimagine what it is that you're doing. Look in other avenues. There's at least 2 or 3 options that may not be the obvious choice. Some of them in different geographical locations, some of them in just a different industry. You may still be licking the wounds of a very fast change. So like I said, a job could have ended, funding could have ended, you could have been fired, made redundant, quit, but there's still this feeling of, how do I get my footing? You'll be all right. Like we see here, it just takes a moment to process, but I really do feel like within 2 to 3 weeks for many of you, or even 2 to 3 days, the 3 of Wands is even faster sometimes, you could receive an offer. The main thing that you want to look at in new opportunities is how stable is the company? We want to make sure that you're not getting in the same cycle again. So with this presenting for job seekers, if it's a startup, if there's a history of rapid growth and then maybe they expand and contract, you want to make sure that you're not getting into something like that because it's not very sustainable. Talk to people that used to work there. You might know somebody. That can help you get a foot in the door, can also help you decide if you like the culture. Culture is so important because you spend a lot of time with coworkers, more than you actually sometimes spend with your family and friends, so you might as well like that culture. I think this time around you have a really good chance of negotiating a good salary as well. And don't be afraid to ask questions. I see that some of the job descriptions are vague, or sometimes people, maybe in an interview, they're talking in circles and you just say, well, what do you mean by that? Ask an insightful question, cut through some of the flowery language, and just make sure that you're getting what you need out of it as well, okay? That's everything with respect to job seekers. If you are a student, some of you want to change things up as well. Tower and Death could be a decision to declare a new major. For some of you, it's deciding that maybe you want to apply your existing degree in a different way. I'm all for the change. Talk to people. 2 of Cups, 10 of Pentacles, the Lovers. There's a lot of energy around advice and sage wisdom. Make sure you're getting an advisor that listens to you. You're doing great work. We can see it here in the deep past. We can see it in the environment. All signs are pointing that, just keep up the good work. But there may be too much distraction in your life. Make sure that your living or working or studying environment is giving you what you need so that you're not sort of losing focus. Retirees, it feels like some of you may be freshly retired because we see the mourning process here. Some of you are also just looking at life and thinking, who knows how many days we have? I want to make the most of it. This is one of the most discotheque 10 of Pentacles that I've ever seen. So some of you are not just prioritizing family, but really more friendship and experiential sort of things, like making sure that if it's not traveling, it's just going out and seeing every sight and sound that your city has to offer and drinking in the moment. And I'm all for that. It's also deciding what it is that gets you excited about getting up in the morning. And so Three of Wands is asking you, what is it that you want in this chapter of your life? How do you want to make an impact? What kind of people do you want to spend time with? What matters to you? Only you can make that decision for yourself, but now is the time to decide. I see new partnership coming through if you're looking for it, even if you're not looking for it. So this is a great time to get out there and maybe make some new friends, people that really get what you're doing in this chapter of your life. Let's focus now on love and relationships. And it's exactly in alignment with what we were talking about a couple moments ago. We have plenty. There are plenty of options, folks. This is the horn of plenty, but it's also representing an abundance of new partnership opportunities. You can be discerning. When there's a lot out there, you don't have to take the first option in front of you. You don't have to say yes to everyone. There could also just be a multitude or myriad of incoming requests for your time and energy. Therefore, being picky, being discerning is going to be important. Let's take a closer look at 3 different categories here. We're going to look at those in a relationship, those that are seeking love, and those that are happily single. If you are currently in a relationship, moving and shaking, lots of stuff going on, it's not necessarily bad stuff. It could just mean that things are getting serious. We talked about exclusivity here. So an offer in love, possibly, proposal for some of you, whatever. There could also be an expansion of the family, unexpected announcement of birth. There could be a new job opportunity, some travel, basically some significant changes. All of these can put a little bit of stress on the relationship, even positive change. So it's just about navigating that with your partner together, being there and just trying to make the most and enjoy. Celebrate the highs and be there to support one another in any sort of challenges. That's why we see the handshake here. Keeping the promise, for better or for worse, right? I think things are headed in a good direction here. Page of Pentacles, 3 of Wands, 7 of Cups. There's just some questions or some conversations to be had around what the next sort of pivot point or next jumping pad is going to be in this relationship. Where are you headed? What do you want next? Make sure that you love and support one another and communicate. I think the only stress here outside of some of the change could be around how you're going to spend your money. But I do see things turning in the right direction eventually, but maybe having a heart-to-heart about finances as well. Some of you are at a point where you might be ready to move in a new direction. Most of this I see as positive change in the two of you navigating it, but this could be an end. For some of you, maybe you just decided you've grown as much as you can and you're deciding to move in a new direction. Some of you may have lost your partner. We'll talk more about that as we go into the next category. So now let's move into those that are single and looking. If you're single and happy, stick around. That's coming next. Single and looking. Here's what I see. The ability to manifest. What you're manifesting is someone who's serious and has a past life connection, as we talked about at the beginning. One thing that I like to talk about to just kind of help you get real, it looks like some of you may have a lot of energy in work, either working on yourself, working or studying at school or a job, and then just trying to balance out your schedule. So you are pulled in a lot of directions. You may have a lot of extracurricular activities, even if you're not a student, like just a lot of things going on in your life. So when you slow down a little bit and look around, love is knocking. Partnership is knocking. There are options out there. It's what do you want? That's the main thing here. So the universe can show up for you if you're clear on what it is that you're seeking. If you're not, it's just going to be a lot to process. So be clear in the signals that you're sending out and be clear in the intentions and the dreams that you're kind of putting out there for yourself as well. The person that comes into your life in this particular chapter seems to be from a different place. The 3 of Wands shows a ship coming in from a different shore. The Tower and the Death card shows me there may be a past life connection, but it feels like it's different this time and they're from a different background. There's something about change or different experiences that just keeps popping off the deck here as I'm looking at everything. You could meet them at a work function or at possibly even a friend's wedding, because these cards are very connected to that, a wedding or celebration. So say yes to invitations. It's a good place to meet other people. If you are happily single, good for you. I think many of you that are happily single are deciding in this point in your life, like, what do I want to do now for me? And we have a lot of energy around like education and personal development. But also, even if you're single and happy, you could be focusing on friendships and core relationships. It's still about people. That's why Pomona with Plenty came through. So focus on the relationships with your family and the closest connections you have in your life. I feel like you could stabilize them, make them healthier, allow for more time. The healing wants to happen there. That's what I'm seeing. Okay? So now let's take a look at the Destiny card. This is your trajectory. You can change it if you don't like it. We have winter coming through. Take care of your needs. So on this card, we also have a wolf, basically just like the owl, encouraging you to listen to your instincts. Winter energy, typically I would associate with storing up, like storing up some resources, slowing down long enough to see what we just talked about here, all of the opportunities in love, all of the doorways and windows that are opening up in business, any areas of your life where stagnation may exist. So even though there's so much energy around movement, you have to slow down intermittently to sort of take in all of that movement and decide what stays and what goes. Let's go a little bit deeper into sun, rising, and moon sign messages and see what else is in store. Sun, rising, and moon. All right, we'll begin first with sun. We have the 10 of Wands, another card of movement. What I love about this one is that we can see that the burden is starting to get easier. The person is starting to break through the sort of precipice here of struggle, and now we see this, it's almost like a world energy where things get bigger, better, and brighter. But there is an opportunity in this moment to let go a little bit. I mentioned technology. Now it's coming through for Sagittarius rising. Your big opportunity now is to delegate certain things to other people that you don't need, to let some automation happen in your life so that you don't have to basically put your hands in every single thing. Wherever you can kind of release certain responsibilities or oversight so that you can focus on the big picture, you're going to be better off because of that. I mentioned that in Wands, sometimes it's better to go back to the basics. Here, the 3 of Wands is where your focus should be. What's the future showing? What's the present showing? Let's not worry so much about all this other stuff. You don't have to hold up the weight of the world, okay? Also, this is a card of getting settled. If you just moved or if you've been doing a lot of traveling, slowing down, letting the dust settle a little bit, and really getting your grounding. That's the message here. For rising and ascendant, we have the 6 of Wands. In short, this is about success. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. And even if you're not getting the validation or the feedback right now, this card is giving you the feedback that you're on the right track. One thing that you also want to focus on here, if you have the ability to give to others. So for those of you that are in a place where you can mentor, you can teach, you can advise, we see them sort of lighting the candles or passing the torch here. So I think that's a great role to kind of ease into. Setting an example, leading the charge, leading by example, all of this is coming through. And ultimately, this is your moment to shine. So going back to that feeling of being worthy, ready, and willing to receive love, abundance, and opportunity. There is a bounty or plenty to go around, so you've earned this moment. Drink it in, all right? Moving on to moon sign, we have the 7 of Swords. This is really the only tricky card we got today. So this is about being accountable to yourself and others. Like, don't say you're going to do something if you can't, and also if you don't trust someone else and they don't hold to their word, it's time to disconnect from that. This is also about making sure that if something just doesn't feel right on like a contractual level, that you circle that, highlight that, and say, I don't feel good about this, because there could be someone that's trying to get away with something, taking more than they should. So call it out. And in this situation, again, you're your own best example here. So if you keep your word, if you don't overpromise, if you always stand by those sort of obligations and contracts, people aren't going to come to you and try to get away with things because they know that you're a person of integrity. And if someone in your life consistently falls short, you don't have time. There's better things to focus on right now. Okay, let's go ahead now and move on to the final question. This is a chance for you to ask something specific to your life. Put that question out to the universe. Take a deep breath. Let's shuffle the cards and let's see what Spirit has to say. You've got this, folks. The King of Wands is an affirmative. If you asked a yes or no, it's a yes. If you want some general advice on what to focus on regarding this question, here's some additional things. First of all, this is a card that is about inspiring yourself, inspiring others. It's an innovative card. So one of the big takeaways here is not rinsing and repeating, pushing yourself, trying new things, exploring the opportunities. That's what this is about. It's a boss energy, second only to Emperor or Empress sort of major arcana energy. So in the minor arcana, this is the biggest boss card. You can do whatever you set your mind to. It's really just boiling down to that last piece. Do you believe in it? And will you stand by it? If you can and you will and you are, then everything that we saw here with the Akashic Stargate is going to open up here. You have these new opportunities, you have a crossroad, and it's because you're aligned with your purpose. Okay? That, my friends, brings this reading to a close. If you enjoyed it, do me a favor, like and subscribe. It helps more than you imagine. It helps other people discover the channel, and it lets me know that you enjoyed this content. You can also follow me on social media for any sort of pertinent updates. It's always my full name, Nicholas Ashbaugh, no extra spellings or characters or anything of that nature. To that end, I don't offer private readings. I'm not going to message you offering things or asking for things, nor will I send out a friend invite. So report anything that you see of that nature. Thank you so much for being the best part of what I do here on YouTube. I'll see you soon.